She was the kindest person in every room she walked into. Her friends called her when they were falling apart at 2 in the morning. Her coworkers leaned on her. Her family came to her first, always. She never said no. She never made anyone feel like a burden. She had this extraordinary gift for making other people feel seen, held, understood. And yet, every night, when the house went quiet and the phone stopped ringing, she sat alone with herself. And the voice that came, the one she never shared with anyone, was merciless. It picked her apart. It reminded her of everything she'd done wrong that day. It told her she wasn't enough, that she'd said the wrong thing, that she'd somehow again failed. She gave everyone else a soft place to land. She gave herself a courtroom. If you recognize even a little bit of yourself in that story, this is for you. Because today I want to talk about something that took me a long, long time to understand, and honestly, I still have to remind myself of it regularly. The truth is, most of us have a profound double standard, a split inside us that we rarely examine. We are gentle and patient and kind with the people we love. We make room for their flaws. We forgive their mistakes. We tell them, it's okay, you're human, everyone stumbles sometimes. And then we turn that same gaze inward and something completely different happens. The warmth disappears. The patience evaporates. And this harsh, almost cold voice takes over. The one that would never speak to a dear friend the way it speaks to you. There's a practice I return to again and again. It's so simple that when I first heard it, I almost dismissed it. Someone asked, would you speak to a good friend the way you speak to yourself? And I sat with that, really sat with it, and I realized, no, absolutely not. If my dear friend called me and said she'd made a mistake at work, I would never say what my own inner voice was saying to me. Not even close. That gap, that distance between how we treat others and how we treat ourselves, that is where so much unnecessary suffering lives. And here's the thing. We think the harsh inner voice is helping us. We think it's keeping us sharp, accountable. That if we go easy on ourselves, we'll become lazy or selfish or somehow fall apart. We confuse self-criticism with self-improvement. We confuse cruelty with discipline. But actually, the research and centuries of wisdom and honestly just plain human experience all point to the same thing. Harshness doesn't make us better. It makes us smaller. It makes us scared. It makes us exhausted. And it never ever stops wanting more. Think about a child learning to walk. She falls down, she gets up, she falls again, and what does a loving parent do? They don't stand over her and say, that was pathetic, again, you're behind the other children, what is wrong with you? No, they laugh gently, they open their arms, they say, you're doing it, look at you go. And that child gets back up with more energy, more courage, more willingness to try again. We are that child. We have always been that child. And somewhere along the way, most of us lost the loving parent and kept the critic. This is what Pema Chödrön calls the fundamental misunderstanding at the heart of so much human suffering. We think we need to fix ourselves before we deserve kindness. We think we need to earn our own compassion. We think self-criticism is the path to becoming someone worthy of love. And so we postpone the softness. We say, when I'm better, when I've lost the weight, when I've fixed this flaw, when I've stopped making that mistake, then I'll be kind to myself. But that moment never comes because the target keeps moving, because the critic doesn't stop, it just finds a new thing. Here's what I've come to understand, slowly, humbly, with a lot of stumbling along the way. Self-compassion is not a reward for getting things right. It is the ground underneath your feet. It is what allows you to get things right in the first place. You can't build a steady life on a foundation of self-contempt. You just can't, no matter how hard you try. There is a phrase I love. You are the sky. Everything else is weather. Your thoughts, those sharp, critical, relentless thoughts, they are weather. They are clouds passing through. Some days the storms are fierce. Some days the sky feels heavy and gray for a very long time. But the sky itself, the vast, open, quiet awareness underneath it all. That is never damaged by the weather. It doesn't need to fight the clouds. It doesn't need to chase the sun. It simply holds it all. You are that. You are not your mistakes. You are not your worst day. You are not the story your inner critic has been narrating for years. You are something much more spacious than all of that. Now, I want to be honest with you because I think that's more useful than just being soothing. Self-compassion is not easy. It doesn't always feel natural at first. In fact, for many of us, when we first try to be kind to ourselves, something almost alarming happens. We feel resistance. We feel guilty or soft or self-indulgent. Some people feel grief, deep, unexpected grief, at the realization of how long they've been withholding this warmth from themselves. That's okay. That grief is actually something tender. It's not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something in you is finally being seen. So what do we actually do with this? Because I don't want this to just be beautiful words that drift away when the video ends and real life starts again. I want to offer you something you can actually use, something small enough to try today, something gentle enough to return to even on the days when everything feels impossible. The first thing I want to suggest is this. When you notice the harsh voice, and you will notice it because it is very loud, try getting curious about it instead of fighting it, just for a moment. Instead of arguing back, or collapsing into it, or trying to push it down, see if you can look at it with a kind of gentle interest. Oh, there you are again. What are you trying to protect me from? What are you afraid of? Because underneath almost every cruel inner voice there is fear. There is a scared, tired part of you that is trying in the only way it knows how to keep you safe, and you don't have to agree with its methods to have a little compassion for its intention. This is not about making the critical voice right. It's about not being at war with yourself, because you cannot win a war against yourself. You are on both sides. The second thing is to practice what I sometimes call the three-part pause. When you're in the middle of suffering, when you've made a mistake, or you're overwhelmed, or you're sitting in shame, try this just for 30 seconds. First, acknowledge it. Say to yourself, quietly, honestly, this is a hard moment. This hurts. I'm struggling right now. Not as a complaint, just as a true thing. Second, remind yourself, I am not alone in this. This is part of being human. Every person alive knows what it feels like to struggle, to fail, to feel inadequate. This moment connects me to every human being who has ever lived. Third, place your hand on your heart, yes, literally, and ask, what do I need right now? What would I say to a friend who was feeling exactly this? And then say it to yourself. That three-part pause is not magic. It won't fix everything, but it interrupts the spiral. It creates just enough space for something kinder to come in. The third thing I want to offer you is this. Begin again as many times as you need to. This is maybe the most important phrase I know. Not do better, not try harder, not get it right this time. Just begin again, because here is the truth about self-compassion. You will forget it. You will have a hard day or a hard week, and the critic will come back loud and convincing, and you will believe it completely for a while. You will be unkind to yourself before you even notice what's happening. That's okay. That's not failure. That's how this works. The whole practice is just this. Notice, pause, begin again. Notice, pause, begin again. Not perfectly, not permanently, just again and again and again. Each time you begin again, you're not starting over from zero. Each time you come back to kindness, you are building something, a different relationship with yourself, a slightly more spacious inner life, a little more room for the weather to pass through without destroying everything. And the fourth thing, and this is perhaps the most counterintuitive, is to welcome what's unwelcome. I know that sounds strange, but there's something in us that tightens against pain, against difficulty, against our own brokenness. And that tightening, that clenching against what is often what makes the suffering worse, not the original thing. but our resistance to it. What if just once, when something difficult arose, a feeling of inadequacy, a wave of loneliness, an old shame, what if instead of running from it or fighting it or collapsing into it, you tried saying, here you are. I'm not going to chase you away, not because you want to wallow in it, but because fighting against reality is exhausting. And welcoming what's already here is somehow, strangely, the beginning of being free from it. You cannot soften what you are still at war with. You can only soften what you are willing to be with. So here we are at the end of this conversation, and I want to say something directly to you, not to everyone watching, to you specifically, the one who has been giving and giving and giving, the one who has been gentle with everyone except the person who needs it most, the one who is so tired, the one who keeps trying and falling and getting back up and wondering when it's going to feel different. I want to say, you deserve the same kindness you give so freely to others. Not when you're better, not when you've fixed the broken parts, not when you've earned it. Now, right now, in exactly the condition you're in, the cracks in you are not evidence of your failure. They are evidence of your humanness. And your humanness is not something to be corrected or overcome. It is something to be met gently, with warmth, with a kind of humble wonder at the complexity of what it is to be a person trying to live a real life. You don't have to get this right, you just have to keep beginning again. The sky doesn't apologize for the storms. It just keeps being the sky. You are so much more than your inner critic knows. And you have always been worthy of your own love. If something in this conversation touched you today, take a moment before you go back to the noise of everything else. Just one breath, one hand on your heart, one small acknowledgement that you were here, that you were sincere, that you tried. That's enough. That has always been enough. If this felt like something you needed, come back whenever you need a reminder. Because we forget. All of us forget. And it's always okay to come back and begin again. Take good care of yourself. I mean that.